how have you found India so far?
Yeah, I mean it's my first time.
Okay.
And so I've planned to stay like a week here in Mumbai, and then I'll get either a train if I can to Goa, or
Okay.
for another week. If I can get the train, because it's kind of tricky. I want to, the train with the swiveling passenger seat that faces the window, just to see. Because I want to. The thing is, with only 3 weeks in India, I want to see as much of India as I can, and go back to Montreal after that. So I thought a train ride would be good, but you need to reserve. You can't reserve really. You all know like a day in advance. Anyway, it's great. First day, I'm here with my son, so we got in India at 3 a.m, and we were super excited. And the next day, and we got to, what do you call it? It's like a moto with 2 seats with a seat in the back.
Okay.
Just a guy,
Yeah.
like a 3-wheeler thing. It's all open. Things, we want to go. Take us downtown or something, whatever. And in Montreal, we have traffic,
Yeah.
but not like this. It's something else. It's just like next level madness. And yeah, I was supremely admirative of our driver for not going crazy and like just having a heart attack. And I mean, you need a special type of human to drive that traffic, and ballsy enough to say, oh, there's like an inch, I'm gonna swing in there, and then everything is like that close. It's just.
Yeah,
Just
man.
I was like, what is going on? It's just and for us, I mean, even being trapped in traffic is fun, because you can look around, see the streets, and just see the craziness around and the diversity, and it's just great.
Like it takes a special kind of crazy to navigate.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, sometimes driving in Montreal, saying, oh no, it's snowy a bit, and it's like, oh, is it secure? And everybody's like staying in their lane, and it's illegal in Montreal to use the horn unless there's a problem.
Okay.
Unless there's somebody's like, oh no, kids are running in front of the car. Hey kids, it's the red light or something, Here, it's just like a way of communicate, and there's 2 lanes, but then there could be 4 lanes because everybody like it's just crazy. It's fun though. So on the list, we're gonna take the metro here, and like just the local train. We want to do these 2 things.
Okay.
So we'll probably me and my son will look like out of place, probably. But that's cool.
But sir, that's gonna be an experience in itself.
Yeah, I don't mind.
Can we say that you love the chaos about?
Oh yeah, I mean, I honestly, I don't know if living here would be good for my nerve and my calm and my zen. But for a week, and people seems to, this is the reality, so it's not like they seem like there was like people walking with their babies in traffic. It's like, oh, and they were super calm, like mom, like just crossing the street with the infant, and I was like, oh my god. But I don't know. For me, I mean, it's just exotic and crazy. But we loved every moment of it. So,
Sir, you said that Swamp Thing was what got you from Franco-Belgian comics into American comics.
yeah, well,
kind of.
part of it. I was growing up. The library was all beside my house was all in French stuff. I speak French
Yeah, of
all the
course.
time. I've learned my English in my 20s too for work.
I see.
But so I've read Asterix, Tintin, all this stuff, and I was exposed to Franco-Belgium universe of comics. But through this collection, there was, I think, the first American thing that I ever saw
Okay.
was a Prince Valiant in black and white.
Okay.
And so a much more realistic type of drawing, a lot more light and stuff.
Okay.
And then there was another book which was adaptation. Well, there were old EC comics, EC, not DC. EC comics were these
William Yates.
horror comics, zombies and sci-fi and stuff like that.
Bollywood.
Yeah. There were masters like Wally and Bernie and Al Williamsons, and these guys were doing it. And the version that I got was a badly translated, because I discovered that the original later, but a badly translated version in black and white. but the contrast with Asterix was super great. I mean, Al Williams, some crazy light in Hollywood, like dramatic double lights, and all these guys, compared to Asterix, was this just got me in, and I also did, and at the end of that, looking for other American stuff, I discovered this Bernie Wrights, and he did a story, like a circus story of a bunch of freak shows.
Okay.
Character trapped in a circus, and it's just a little novel, a little horror story. I can't really remember the story, but beyond what I just said.
I think it was a book called Freak Show.
I think
that was by Bruce Jones and Bernie Wrightson.
That's
if
the one.
memory serves correctly.
Yeah, well,
I haven't been able to find a copy.
Your culture is impressive, really. So that was in French. So that was the book that really got me hooked to. Oh, it's fun, it's crazy, it's so dramatic, compared to Tintin is fun, Asterix is funnier, but this is drama, like raw drama. So I became a fan of Bernie Wrightson, and I've started looking for more Bernie Wrightson stuff, and that's how I ended up finding Swamp Thing.
We lost a legend.
Yeah, we did. He was a friend too at the end. Well, as it turned out, people that did Swamp Thing, there were not that many. It's not like people that did Batman. Everybody did Batman.
You're right.
Swamp Thing, well, it's Bernie, it's Redondo, Bissett, and Total Dan, and these guys, and
Yeats.
Yeah, Yeats, and when I started doing Swamp Thing, I kind of felt like I was part of a little group of guys that did Swamp Thing. So Bissett became a friend, and Bernie. I mean, Bissett is selling T-shirt of one of his first drawings. Is a bit of story here. Bissett's dad, as was the owner of just a general store, I think.
Okay.
And the logo of the store was drawn by Bissett. As when he was a teen, probably.
Okay.
And he did a set of T-shirt with that old logo, and I'm his model for his website, wearing this yellow crazy shirt with like the Bissett. So we're all a little family of creator that did the thing, and now
a small family,
a Swamp Thing family. So writers and artists that did it, and also we kind of are. Not the same style, but the same kind of genealogy of style. It's not to say that Joe Madureira couldn't have done Swamp Thing, but it would be unexpected.
Of course,
because Swamp Thing comes with the assumption of you're gonna get like lush, classic visuals with it comes with that. It's a feast for the eyes.
Yes.
And that was kind of established by Bernie being so good with the book, and then Redondo really pushing the envelope, and then Bissett and Total Ben and these guys and used to Rick Veitch to really kind of go classic, and every book is like pretty, it's illustration, and that's part of the DNA of the character. So when they got me to do it, I knew that was part of the recipe, like the magic ingredient. You need this. Swamp Thing requires poetic beauty and disgusting nightmare and this lush visual, which is where I naturally reside. So I just embraced it. Yeah, it's for me. And plus, because I've studied biology before doing comics, somehow doing Swamp Thing was like part of me already. And one other thing is, just before doing Swamp Thing, and that's another little story that's gonna come back.
Yeah.
I was in a show somewhere in Spain, and I was talking to, I'm not gonna name names, but the guy was a kind of famous painter and artist, and he was telling me that, well, nowadays he does covers, and he writes a little story, and he gets some kids that can barely draw to do the interior work, and then they use these comics to put on Hollywood desk in order to maybe get a film or an auction or whatever. So he's selling idea with like nice cover, crappy interior, in order to eventually maybe because in his mind the real money in comic is not in comic, it's in movie.
The
That got me thinking about, well, is comic really just the stepping stone to movie, and movie is the real deal, and comics just before that. And if it's the case, well, comics are worthless, you know. So to me, in order to justify the existence of my art form by opposition to other media, we need to take advantage of what we can do and other media can't. So comics can have can have a control on time that no other media can do. And what I'm saying time is, you have a panel,
Yeah.
and then in that, like say, there are scenes in Watchmen where Alan exploited that beautifully. There's a panel where there's something drawn on it, but then there's a caption saying something different, and then there's a kid reading a comic book, like a pirate comic book, and, and there's a dialogue,
the Tales of the Black Freighter section.
and what's happening in that comic book, and all of those four elements of information, they're all stacked together in one moment. So you know it's happening at the same time, even though you digesting this, like you read that, you look at the picture, you look at the kid, you look at, but you know this is like one chord, like this is going together. And you can take like an hour looking at that, or like a second, but you know all these elements are creating a relationship between them. If you want to do that in movie with somebody talking, somebody else talking, and then some other element, and it's too much, you can't do that in prose, in writing. By the time you read the other thing, you've already passed to. Only comic can just stack up information in that thing. And what I've been exploiting a lot is that comic are in themselves. You can do comic just panels that kind of are storyboard, or you can take advantage of the gutters and use the between the panels as a storytelling element, and taking advantage of, like a soundtrack or something. And in Swamp Thing, I made a little rule just before starting anything, and I've told Scott Snyder about this. This is the rule. When nothing's happening, it's like black gutter. But when the green is doing stuff, the black gutter are going to be branches.
Yes.
But when the rot is doing stuff, the bad guys, then all those gutters are going to be like disgusting, like
creepy crawly. Yes.
And then when we are in the green, all the panel border is going to be this psychedelic, like illustrative, Art Nouveau, cellular, bleh, because we are in the spirit of the plan. And so instead of having to explain it, you'll turn the page and all the panel borders are crazy. So you know you are in the trippy acid world of what our plan thinks. But all of that is done with the panel borders.
Right.
And of course you can take my run of Swamp Thing and make a TV adaptation of it, but you lose something that only comic can provide. This element.
Yes, agreed.
So this is for me a way to justify existence of comic.
Sir, the most recent comic book which I have seen you working on has been Incalverse.
Yep.
Tell me something about it, sir.
Yeah, for me, I mean, when I was looking at doing a career in illustration and doing comics, being French Canadian, I could have choose America or Europe. You know, that was a viable option. Both options were often to me.
Right.
But because it was the 90s and comics were doing so crazy well back then, it was more tempting for comics, and it felt more easy too. So I went for comics, but in the back of my head, I was like, one day I want to do something for Europe somehow, you know. And then when humanity offered me like Ankle, which is one of those like seminal giant book, I just couldn't refuse. But it's daring, you know, because Moebius is probably one of those like more than giant. It's like it's more than pillar of comics.
How daunting was it to just go ahead and do it?
Yeah, I knew I couldn't compete directly with Moebius and try to overdo, like, I'm gonna beat this guy in his own book, you know. So I knew that was impossible. But what I did is I tried to be a bit respectful, but maybe incorporate a little bit of his liberty in my own work, allowing kind of type of rendering. And again, if you look at Psychoverse, it's happening in two world and reality and a fucked up like alternate world. And those panel borders, again, taking advantage of what we were saying earlier, those panel borders are made up of like elements of Moebius not near the end of his life, but he was doing painting, like abstract painting, like just weird stuff that mean nothing. Just weird like bubbles going into each other's and like bizarre, complex thing. And as I was looking for a language that could be like this world of imagination that doesn't exist really, and make borders out of something graphic that we will recognize, I figured, oh, I'm gonna go to a Mobius like abstract painting and try to dissolve this into panels maybe. And so all those panel borders are influenced by this moment of Mobius. So Mobius DNA kind of find its way into my Incal still.
I'm gonna read both of them side by side, and I'm sure I'm gonna love them.